Hello, this video is on DNA replication or how DNA copies itself. And we've got to kind of think about the process of DNA replication or copying DNA as necessary in order to make new cells. And we all know that new cells are necessary for growth and development. So, how does DNA do that? Well, DNA is obviously really cool and really important, but it has some very important properties to it. So if we look at our original strand of DNA, this is the strand of DNA that is going to be copied. We call this the original, the parent, the old strand of DNA, or the template strand of DNA. And I've colored this strand of DNA in pink so you can keep track of it as we go through these steps. Again, there are 4 major steps. And please note that the rules of base pairing are being followed here, A binding with T and C binding with G, as we create our DNA ladder here. So in step number 2, as we're replicating DNA, well, to replicate DNA, we've got to actually break it apart in the middle here. So these hydrogen bonds that hold the bases together, they've got to break apart. And once they break apart, you can see they've got this like V shape here. And once they break apart, I'll kind of highlight that so you can see it. See, it's breaking apart up the middle there. And in the next step, so step 3, we can see that the complementary bases are coming in here and binding. So following the rules of base pairing, this T is going to now bind with an A, this T binds with an A, and this T binds with an A. Over here, this A binds with a T, this A binds with a T, and this A binds with a T. And in case anybody was wondering, these nucleotides, these extra A's and T's and C's and G's, they're kind of just floating around. And when the time comes for a cell to replicate its DNA, that's when they kind of swoop in and do their job, which is just really cool that these molecules know to do that. So now in step 4 here, we've got 2 strands of DNA. Please notice that these strands in here in yellow, these are the new strands of DNA. We also call them the complementary strands or pieces of the DNA. The pink is the original. So again, original, this would be what started over here. This is the pink strand, and then pink over here. And if you compare these 2 molecules, they're identical. So this side is exactly the same as this side. This molecule is exactly the same as this molecule. And we need them to be exactly the same. And we know that they're exactly the same because they have the same order of A's, T's, C's, and G's. So if I look down the side here, I see A, C, G, T, T, T. If I look down this side, A, C, G, T, T, T. It's the same order. And then if we look here, T, T, G, C, A, T, T, G, C, A. They're exactly the same. They're identical. Half of those new molecules of DNA, half of that comes from the older original or template strand, and then half is new. It's complementary. So it's pretty cool that at the end of this process, you get 2 identical strands of DNA, and that is DNA replication.